In Australia, we have millions of people affected by eczema. Sometimes I scratch a lot and then I bleed. Eczema to me, it kind of feels like rough, itchy and kind of bumpy.
Eczema is a chronic and complex skin condition, but it is more than just an itchy skin condition. For those living with eczema, it can vary from mild to moderate itch, right through to an extremely itchy, painful, and debilitating condition. It can look very different in babies, children, and adults. The most common form of eczema is atopic or allergic eczema. About 20% of those with eczema suffer with the moderate to severe form. Even if the eczema or atopic dermatitis is confined to just the hands, the impact on quality of life is huge.
Eczema is ranked by the World Health Organization in the top 5 non-fatal burden of disease.
The prevalence of eczema is increasing. It affects approximately 1 in 5 children, but it's not just a childhood condition. It can continue into adulthood or even develop in adults.
When I was 32, I woke up one day with a rash on my tummy and thought I was just allergic to something in the garden, or I wasn't sure what it was, and then it took over my whole body and it's never gone away.
Eczema can be influenced by genetics, it runs in the family, or environmental factors, which we call external triggers. Eczema is not contagious. Atopic dermatitis is an autoimmune disease caused by an overactive immune system, resulting in inflammation. One of the main problems is that people with atopic eczema have a defective skin barrier. This skin is less able to protect a person from irritants and allergens. It can lead to increased bacterial or viral infections, which in turn can contribute to eczema flare-ups.
The best thing I can do to care for my daughter's eczema in Australia is to know and avoid her triggers and keep doing skincare.
The triggers of eczema can vary for each individual. It can be quite frustrating trying to figure out the trigger for each flare-up. Common triggers in a school environment include stress and emotions, anxiety about tests, homework, friendships, inclusion activities, bullying because of eczema. Another common trigger, certain snacks or food, room temperature or weather. Being too hot or too cold or too dry can trigger eczema. Common products and materials. School uniforms can be on the top of this list. Also things like hand sanitizer, sunscreen, diffusers, animals or environmental. Serious complications can result from exposure to infectious diseases. For example, cold sores can result in eczema herpeticum, which can become a very serious illness. Viruses can also trigger an eczema flare. Keep in mind that children with atopic eczema may also develop other atopic or allergic conditions such as asthma, hay fever, and food allergies. As well as atopic dermatitis, there are several different types of eczema not related to atopy. Eczema is not one thing. It is complex. Symptoms can vary from person to person, and they can also vary over time for an individual.
Yes, I have eczema. No, eczema is not contagious. I've had eczema since I was 2 years old. Eczema feels like a warm, itchy rash that doesn't go away. My worst day is when I can't sleep, so I'm already waking up in a bad mood. My advice to people who don't have eczema and don't seem to understand it, ask questions, because we are more than happy to answer those questions rather than you assume.
We've talked about what eczema is. Now let's have a chat about some of the eczema myths. Myth: eczema is contagious. Fact: I'll repeat, eczema is not contagious, and it is not due to poor hygiene either. These are the myths that lead to bullying and stigmatisation. Myth: eczema treatment is cheap and it can be cured. Fact: there is no cure for eczema. Awareness and avoidance of triggers is the key. together with the management of symptoms. As eczema is a chronic and very complex condition, it can be difficult for each individual. It is unusual to be one thing that will be the answer. It can also result in financial hardship. Myth: eczema is not serious, doesn't require treatment, and is easily outgrown. Fact: eczema varies in severity and symptoms can be lifelong. Severe eczema results in, on average, 23.3 visits to the doctor and 6.5 days hospitalisation per year. So now we have some more knowledge about what eczema is and isn't. We need to understand how eczema impacts children in the early learning and school environment.
My name is Lily and I am nearly 9 years old. My skin normally feels a bit rough and kind of bumpy. I kind of feel that I'm different because not many people in my class have eczema.
I would describe eczema as debilitating, exhausting, and it's just sad to see her suffer. I think having eczema has made Lily more self-conscious as a person. She's probably not quite as confident as she would have been not having had eczema. She's always got to be aware of the weather, so many different factors, and always having to put creams on. You don't realise just how much it can affect your life and every aspect of your life. Lily's at school at the moment. She's doing quite well, but over the years has suffered a little bit with bullying and having other children being a little bit nasty to her because of her skin. So that's really hard to see your child go through.
Unless you have lived with eczema, it is difficult to understand the impact of eczema, especially on a child's ability to learn.
I take care of my eczema by putting on an ice pack when it's hot and itchy.
My advice on bad days is keeping strong. Not all days will be this hard.
The more we talk through the common impacts of eczema, the more we understand, and this will result in more support and better outcomes for the child. Let's look at some of the areas impacted by eczema. Sleep deprivation. This is common and impacts the whole family. Stress. The symptoms and treatment of eczema can be stressful. The treatment routine of bath, bandages, creams, etc. are time-consuming and stressful for children and their carers. Stress itself is also a trigger, resulting in another vicious cycle. Emotional and social consequences. Low confidence and isolation are often consequences of eczema for both children and their parents or carers, as explained by Lily's mum. Let's look more closely at the educational impact. Continual itch, infections and pain are key characteristics of eczema. Combined with sleep deprivation, stress and social impacts, these things will of course affect concentration, education, social and family life. This may lead to bullying, social issues and reduced learning capacity. Tiredness caused by broken sleep is a big issue. Scratching through the night can leave children and carers exhausted. Concentration levels at school can be impacted by tiredness. Children may be distracted by itchy skin when at school. Extended absence from school due to infections, badly flared skin, or medical appointments may cause children to fall behind. Late arrivals in times of flare-ups may see children missing parts of lessons. Eczema can impact their behaviour. It is understandable that children with eczema may be self-conscious, tired, uncomfortable, slower in their pace of work, suffer with embarrassment, frustration, tearfulness and shyness. It can be overwhelming and result in some challenging behaviour. Keep in mind that parents or carers may also be struggling due to stress and lack of sleep. Financial impact. Loss of income can be a reality for parents or carers of children with eczema. And then there are the direct and indirect costs of medical expenses and management of eczema.
My name is Barack and I'm 5. My eczema feels bad.
I would never ever in a million years think eczema could be this bad. The sleepless nights, the screaming, it just breaks your heart. There's nothing you can do except comfort them. It's a very painful process. It's painful for me to watch, it's painful for my child to be in, it's just painful for everyone. Brock's 5. His eczema first started when he was about 9 months old. His first hospitalisation was 9 months, and that ended up in a staph infection with infected eczema. To have to bath your child in a bleach bath, that absolutely killed me when they first suggested it, and I looked at them in horror and said, I am not putting my child in a bleach bath. And now we have to do it twice a day. It's just a way of life, we have to do it, and now I feel good knowing that it is killing any bacteria on his body. I feel like I've gone from a mother to a carer. Like, he has to be smothered from head to toe in steroid cream. He has to be moisturised up to 6 times a day.
As you can see from Brock and Kate's story, many hours are spent in managing the skincare routine to try to manage the symptoms and control the triggers. Routines such as bleach baths, topical medicated creams, moisturising creams, wet wrapping, cold compress, special bedtime clothes, environmental control. And then there's always the calming and distraction methods needed when the itch just gets too much. Often some of these methods need to be repeated several times a day and in the middle of the night. In addition to these routines, there are often multiple trips to the GP, specialists, and sometimes even hospital stays to contend with.
My tip for eczema is to put your creams on when you're itchy.
But what can you, in the early learning and school environment, do to help? Here are some simple and practical strategies which can really help maintain the child's well-being and, in turn, reassure the parents or carers. Write a support plan with the parents. We have a template in the Eczema Support Kit. Be open to assist with the child's skincare routine to ensure they are comfortable. Speak to the parents beforehand if you are unsure whether an activity is suitable for a child or not. Be aware that some school products may trigger eczema. Protect the child's hands with non-latex gloves during messy play or painting if these trigger their eczema. Check for food allergies or intolerances and talk about alternatives with the parents or carers. Keep in mind that children with eczema are more likely to develop food allergies. Educate all children about skin conditions to encourage the inclusion of children who look different.
My advice for bad days is to not look at your eczema spots. If you're really itchy, just put an ice pack on it and keep your hands busy.
Here are our big tips to remember. Agree on a signal with the child so they can let you know that they are uncomfortable. Saying, "Don't scratch," doesn't help. It might help to have a distraction toy, or maybe they're uncomfortable and may need some cream or cooling down. Be mindful of discomfort and tiredness. They might not have slept much due to the itching. Temperature. Use a fan or air conditioner if too hot. Offer plenty of water. Keep charts handy. We have some useful charts to remind everyone of triggers and solutions. Much of what we have covered in this video is available in electronic or hard copy format in our Eczema School Kit. Let's have a look at that now. Cross-sectional international studies found severe atopic dermatitis, which is eczema, had a greater impact on quality of life or burden of disease than cancer, asthma, diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, and clinical depression. Statistically, 1 in 5 children are affected by eczema. Yet, specific support in the Australian school system for children with eczema is minimal to non-existent. That is why we are now so grateful for your interest in our Eczema School Kit. Eczema Support Australia developed the Eczema School Kit with the assistance of our international colleagues and with the review and endorsement of the Australasian College of Dermatologists. The kit was developed for educators, school staff and parents to assist children with eczema while they are in their school or early learning environment. The kit promotes communication between educators and parents or carers. It gives everyone guidance on how to address specific needs and understand the issues. Let's look at the contents of the kit. For the parent or caregiver, we have a kit that includes a guide for speaking to schools or early learning centres. This is in a booklet form. My Eczema Support Needs form. a medical action plan. Parents or carers can use this kit to prepare for a meeting with the school or early learning centre. The Educator's Kit includes Eczema School Tips in the classroom, consisting of potential triggers and solutions. We recommend using the booklets and forms with parents or caregivers to identify the child's specific health support needs. Everyone can download the full Educator and Parents kits. They're available on our website.
On good days, enjoy it and spend time doing things that you want to do on your good days.
On hot, sunny days, I normally stay inside. My advice for good days is to enjoy it and to have fun.
I care for my eczema by putting some water spray on my face or any itchy spots on hot days.
In addition to the Eczema School Kit, Eczema Support Australia provides other support services, things like our psychology program. We also have connection groups, online and face-to-face meetings and informational events.
My name is Matthew. I'm 9 years old. I've had eczema since I was born.
My name is Harry. I'm 9 years old. I've had eczema since I was born. We started Eczema Support Australia because people helped us and we thought it would be right to help others.
Eczema Support Australia is a national support organisation, and our aim is to see Australians living with eczema thrive in their community through support, advocacy and information. Eczema Support Australia was inspired by my own twin boys who have severe eczema, and it was their eczema that significantly impacted their ability to go to school.
If you need help or want to know any more information, contact Eczema Support Australia today.